Hello, everybody. This is Vinnieart. You guys know me from City of Venus, Through the Woods, a bunch of other projects, my art books, all that kind of stuff. But tonight, I got a special guest. It's my one-on-ones. So we have Dan Fraga. You know him as Fraga Boom.
Fraga Boom. Thanks for having me, man. Thank you for having me on.
It's a pleasure. Yeah. He's my new friend, Dan. So everybody, I'm pretty sure you know who he is, but if you don't, we're going to be covering his career, my career. We're going to bounce back and forth a little bit because I think it's really interesting and fans seem to dig it too, knowing like where we came from, how this stuff kind of happened, what's really making us tick. So we're going to do that, and we're going to be showing the campaigns. He's got a new campaign going with Dynamic Entertainment. Yeah. For the Red Sonja Black Flag collectible cover, which is really great. I saw him drawing it a couple days ago, actually.
Yeah.
Like Evil Ernie. He's got some good stuff. We'll cover all that.
All right.
But and the return of Black Flag later this month. So is that like the 23rd or something? Was it the 23rd you
25th? 25th. The 23rd, I think, is a Thursday. 23rd would be apropos, but a Thursday is a weird day, It's like a weird launch day.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's weird because when I said it, I was like, people will be home on Saturday, but like people are home now.
Exactly.
They're home all day. But yeah.
Tell me about
it.
But so I want to thank everyone who popped up in the chat. You guys started pouring in right from the beginning, so that's killer, man. Yeah, thank you guys for waiting. We got Sim. He's already dropping links in the beginning, so
that's thank you, Sim. Thank you, man.
Oh yeah, brother.
Familiar face.
Fantastic artist. We got Justin. He's in the house.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that today. That was that's either he got suspended, because that's what mine looked like. Mine got suspended last June for some copyright strikes. I'd used some rap remixes on some time lapses I had done, and they were like, "You're out," and I was like, "When can I come back?" They're like, "You're out," and I couldn't find out. It took 9 months, and then one day they're like, "They have lifted the suspension." Like, now I have 2 Twitters.
Jesus. This is crazy, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, we got some really good people. Sorry if I don't catch everybody in here. It's just like I said, I want to cover a lot, and Dan's got to go around 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to be having a phone call, so probably like right around 8:58, so I can go stretch my legs and whatnot before the call.
Beautiful. Yeah. That's a good thing. My
Yeah.
buddy's in there too, Red Gaze.
What's up, Red Gaze?
Check out his project, man, Sunsworn. That thing is amazing. I'll be showing that too, I think, tonight. I've got enough time.
Awesome.
But yeah, let's break it down a bit. So how did you get into all of this? Like, where did it start? Because we touched upon that a little bit on your stream the other night.
All of this, do you mean this being CG, or do you mean comic books in general?
Comics in general. Like, we'll take it from the
okay,
top.
I'll go all the way back. I grew up in a small town called Pacheco in Northern California. It's near San Francisco. I grew up on a chicken farm. My dad was and is a very good man and kept us very regimented. So a lot of chores, not a lot of fun that you would call kid fun. We had plenty of fun, but we had a lot of work. Discipline. So it left me to be in my head a lot, and we were also very poor. So toys came around Christmas and birthdays, and that was that. Mm-hmm. So I found a lot of the fun I would have would be imaginary situations. And when I found comic books, I found that I could manifest these ideas on paper. But the only way that I could do them the way I saw them in my head was to try to get better at it. So I was obsessed with comic books. Like I remember the first image that struck me was, I think the cover, I always mix up the number. I think it's G.I. Joe 45. It was a Mike Zeck cover with Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, like coming out of, one had the Uzis, one had the sword. And I remember being blown away, and then seeing Rick Leonardi's Cloak and Dagger, that did it. But that brought my interest in drawing into more to be intensified. But I didn't really realize that people did that. I just saw these images and thought they were cool and wanted to emulate them. And it wasn't until I discovered the work of John Byrne that I realized, like, oh, there's a person. You know, it's like you start seeing names. You're like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. But then you see like a consistent, like, that's badass. And it's consistently the same guy's name. So I started following John Byrne. But then the big bombshell, there were two bombshells that hit me. There was one in 1986. It was the cover of Dark Knight #2 by Frank Miller. I'd seen a Batman by him that I'd never seen before, like that sort of interpretation of Batman. And I realized, like, wait a second, you don't have to have like the pajama version of things. I call it the pajama version because Batman, you know, running at you or whatever, it's the pajama version. And then Frank Miller really defied that. So I remember showing my grandfather, who was an artist and an art teacher. I said, look at this. He said, wow, that is so different. It's kind of abstract. And then the second time was I went to my first comic convention in 1988. And I went to meet Stan Lee, and I was in line to meet Stan Lee. And his line went along Artist Alley. And I met an artist by the name of Eric Larson, of Savage Dragon fame. And I showed Eric my work and said, I'm giving this drawing to Stan Lee. And he said, he's just going to throw it away. And I said, nah, he's going to want to keep it, man. I'm going to be a professional comic artist. And he's going to talk about the time we first met. And Eric looked at it and asked me, he's like, what do you do? I said, I'm a kid. He said, do you have a job? I said, yeah, I work at a pizza place. And his answer, and this is verbatim, well, you better be good at making pizzas because you're never going to draw comics. Wow. So that, I don't know if you ever heard the song Ironside by Quincy Jones. It was in Kill Bill. Starts off with that. I didn't know the song, but I felt that emotion of that song. I was like, oh, really? Like, it was like literally like this sort of challenge. Yeah. And I literally, like, my DNA was altered to be like, nah, dude, you're wrong. And I made it my goal.
Yeah, I had a similar experience too. I think we're cut like from the same cloth. Yeah. I kind of had a similar type of background as well, where you know, we didn't come from a lot of money, but there were some problems at home. Like I was a caretaker for my grandmother too for a number of years, and that's kind of when I started getting more into the art scene and all that. But and in kind of similar way as well, I had two like kind of I'd say three. Right in my face. It was the very first McFarlane Spider-Man book that I had, which was Captain America was on the cover with Spidey.
Oh, that's but that was an Eric Larson issue, wasn't it?
No,
the one with him on the cover.
They were going back and forth, but that was a McFarlane one.
Yeah.
It was like that full body, almost a full body shot, like, you know, legs up, and Spidey was in the background, like kind of crawling.
Yeah, but,
that was the first one. Brian Boland's the Killing Joke.
Yeah,
that was one of my first books that I remember going. That's it, bam. Yeah, that's it.
Right on hand, man. Right on hand.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
That is the book, yeah. Because it had with Silver Sable in it. It was
didn't it have like a hand stint? No. Oh, this solo page. I mean, dude, if that doesn't make you want to be a comic book artist.
Yes.
Whew, hell yes. I forgot about that.
And there was one where Cap was kind of parachuting down.
Yeah, yes.
That was a sick shot too.
Yeah.
But as I'm saying, it was that was one of the first books. But then when I started going to the comic shop myself, it was right around the time like Killing Joke was coming out as well. So like I was going through and grabbing all that stuff. But it was also the Frank Miller. There was the poster of the Dark Knight where he had his hands on his hips.
Yes.
He was like next to the clock tower.
Yes.
My brother picked up that poster and he was sitting in his room. And every time I would walk by, like I go in there going, wow, man, that is effing cool.
Yeah.
So like, you know, it kind of drove me into the comic shops, and it was the same thing. I was staying home and I was just drawing and getting better. I've had similar encounters with those people. My Eric Larson was a little bit later on.
You had an Eric Larson?
Oh, yeah. That guy's just a dick.
Yeah.
So he was praising some kid in the front of the line who really, really, I mean, like seriously amateur work.
Yeah.
He was maybe like 17 or 18, praising the kid. So I hadn't met him, but I was a fan of some of his Spider-Man stuff earlier on.
Yeah.
Showed him some artwork, and he was going through the portfolio, and he picked out one specific image. It was a video game character, Blood Rain.
I don't know it.
They use like Mila Jovovich as like the model for it. But basically,
Right.
she was a vampire killing Nazis. I mean, they did like
Sounds
2 or 3
cool.
games on that. Yeah,
That
I mean, it was
sounds
pretty
fun.
cool. It was a cool character. She had like these giant blades that were like, I don't know, it was just crazy. But anyway, so I did this image, and he goes, see, something like this. He goes, this will never make it into print. Something like this. I'm going, wow, this guy's an arrogant prick. So I went into my bag, took out a comic, flipped to the back, bam, there's that piece.
Yeah.
Made it as a pinup. I'm like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I put it away and then fuck you and walked away.
Good.
These kind of people,
Yeah.
they're human scum. Human scum. They'll lie to everyone's face. They're intimidated, and they don't like new blood in there.
No.
And they've been doing this for years. There's a reason why the industry is what it is. But I mean, I didn't mean to
No,
go on a tangent,
it's fine. No, it's something that I talk about a lot because the comic industry or even the gaming industry, the animation industry is built up with what I call our brothers and sisters, because a lot of us come from the same place. Where a lot of us are introverted. I can say, like, as much as I have extrovert tendencies, like if I have to be quote unquote on, I'll be on. But like at my core, I'm an introvert. I'm in my head most of the time. And that had to deal with being bullied as a kid. That had to deal with, having 4 brothers, like a lot of it. And anyhow, what I found is a lot of people have similar stories, and they handle it differently. I think some people grow that sort of spiky shell and they just become sort of abrasive. Some want to protect it so much that they push out everybody. And I think someone like Eric, even someone like Neil Adams, but Neil Adams, I think, is more like an acid test. I think he's like checking people to see if they've got what it takes. Like if you could take a Neil Adams beat down and come back for more, he gives you respect. Where Eric is, I feel like his choices come out of insecurity, perhaps.
Yeah, I would say so too. Yeah, because I know what you're talking about. I know people who, similar like to Neil Adams, that they want to push you to get the best out of you. Like if you could take it, you're gonna level up.
Yes,
basically.
Right.
And getting the respect from him, especially. At the height of his popularity is also just something special too. Because I've come across a few other professionals that they were amazing, others that were total assholes. But and that's the thing, right? It's kind of weeding them out. And going back for a second too on what he said about Stan Lee, he would just throw it away. That's not true.
Right.
Stan is better than that, and you can't speak for someone else.
That's right.
I've met him about three different times. One of the first times I kind of did what you said the other night when you met Todd.
Yeah.
You cut the line.
He just walk right up.
Cut the line. You introduce yourself. You talk with them, and you get to know kind of what's going on. And this is around the time when Marvel, they had dropped them. They were going to sell off all the characters. A lot of people don't really remember that. I remember when I was going to high school, no one believed me. I'm like, they even fell off the stock market. And they're like, no, it's bullshit. That's bullshit. It happened.
It absolutely happened.
It's the deals that they cut that saved their ass. The Sony one, the X-Men one with Fox, which that was just a licensing one from what I understand. So they didn't really get much. But around that time is when I met him, and he told me, he goes, wow, how old are you? And at the time I was like a junior in high school. And he's like, dude, you got to keep doing it. But I'll tell you one thing, though. Don't go to Marvel. Go to the other guys. Yeah. Marvel's falling apart. And he was having a lawsuit with them and everything. But like, he told me straight.
That's good.
Straight.
That's good.
I'll fast forward to the last time I met him. It was at C2E2 a few years back, and he actually walked by my table with a group of other people. He stopped. He said something to them. He gave me like a thumbs up. They came over and they go, Stan wants to buy some of your work.
Nice, man. That's fantastic.
They bought 3 pieces of mine, and then he signed something for me too, which is amazing. And for
Classic.
me, my big thing was I was supposed to have a Spider-Man gig before Casada screwed me out of it. Most of the people in the chat, they know the story.
Yeah.
But so like I had a print of Spidey that I did, and I'm like, yeah, for me, it felt fitting to get like the approval from him as well. And yeah, he signed that one for me. I got that one framed.
That's great.
He's just a beautiful human. He always was. So
Yeah.
God rest his soul.
Absolutely.
That guy was straight.
Class
People
act.
like Eric. Yep, classic. People like Eric, not so much. But
Yeah.
all right, let's get back to your story.
All right.
So
I decided like, hey, I'm gonna go all in on comics. So of course I bought the books like How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. I bought all kinds of books like our Wizard magazine, and Wizard magazine's gone, but like we used to get things like this: Comics Interview, Comic Scene, Amazing Heroes, things like that. And that's where we would sort of glean any sort of information we could about the behind the business. In 1989, I started a local access television show called Comics Review for You. It was a lot like these live streams because we did them live. They were absolutely live. I compare it to Wayne's World because we were public access, and I think maybe like 5 people watched it. So I had that show, and I also had a fanzine called Views, interviews, reviews, and I forgot what the other E's was. Hold on a second, please. Hold on.
Yeah, I want to take this time at least to say hello to the chat again. Cool, man. Thanks, Charlize. Cool. Yeah.
No, my son was trying to come in. I'm like, not right now, homie. Casada's an interesting man. That's my way of saying all kinds of things. Read into it. You're very interesting, Joe. So
he got me 3 times. He fucked my career 3 times.
Yeah. Hey, man, you know what? Time will tell and judgment will show. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's Maybelline. That's what I want to say in regard to Joe and his stream. There's more cake of makeup on there than any bakery I've ever been in. You know, it's like just cake that shit on, dude. Sorry, I digress. So I interviewed a really generous editor by the name of Carl Potts. Carl Potts was the guy who really nurtured Jim Lee's career, and he gave me all this sort of information on how to break into and how to stay in the comic industry. And I literally took it as a blueprint. I had if you guys ever want to see it, there's an old blog I did. It's fragaboom.blogspot.com. Really easy. I haven't posted on it in years, but if you want to read that interview I did with Carl when I was like 15 years old, but I used it as the blueprint. I used to also find the phone numbers and call other creators. I met Jack Kirby when I was 16 years old. I walked up to him. I asked him for his phone number. He gave it to me. So I used to call Jack Kirby like 2 or 3 times a month and talk to him. But the big sort of pivotal point, and I have this book too. So this book had come out, and also this book. Like I bought this book here, and this book the same week, and found out that Rob Liefeld was coming to San Francisco at this thing called Pelicon. You could see I still have his signature from 1989 right there, his old signature. This is how I used to sign, and you could see it signed in pencil because I used to give these guys my pencil to work with. I'd have them all do that. But I did this whole segment on portfolio reviews, like what it's like to get your stuff reviewed, and I filmed like me doing the work. I filmed a bit of the work so people were familiar with it, and then I took it to be shown to Rob Liefeld, Eric Larson, Derek Robertson, and Arthur Adams. Those were the guests at the show. Nice. And Rob gave such a fantastic portfolio review. The old portfolio reviews that I was used to getting from editors almost sounded like they could almost have left a tape recorder on the table and said, okay, it's your turn, press play, work on compositions, draw from life, thank you, come again. you know, and you go, well, it's they spoke in vagaries. And Rob was the first guy that was like, hey, this works. You might want to overlap that. Try to think of things in a way, inverted S, move your eye across, you know, like really, really solid advice. So that was one thing. And then the other thing was my pal, my best friend, Mike Gomez. He and I had a comic company in high school called Incredible Comics. But Mike bought this sketch. It was Rob's sketch that he had drawn for Strife. And this is right before Rob had started New Mutants. So he wasn't Rob Liefeld yet. He was, I mean, obviously he's Rob Liefeld, but he's 22 years old. He'd only drawn a couple of annuals, Hawk and Dove, and that was that. But my buddy was like, this is really cool. I need to buy it. But it happened to be on the back of Rob Liefeld's personal stationery, which had his name, address, fax number, and phone number. So being the kind of, I don't know, like sometimes I think I might have Asperger's or something because there's certain social cues I'm not good with. So I was like, I'll call him up, you know, I'll call him up. He'll remember me. So I called him up and I said, hey, it's Dan Fraga. We did that thing for my show. He's like, yeah, how did you get my number? I was like, yeah, my friend bought your sketch. He's like, oh, I better not be, you know, drawing on that stuff anymore. I said, hey, listen, you gave me such a fantastic portfolio review. Do you mind if I use this fax number on the back of this stuff to send you things I'm working on? He's like, yeah, fine. So I did that for a couple of years. I used to call, and I mean, I guess the word would be pester. I used to call and pester him, and I would get all kinds of news. Like I got to see all the artwork before it happened, so I felt really like cool, you know. Like I got to see, you know, I got to see Cable before Cable, and like, you know, and I also befriended Marat Michaels, who was Rob's assistant at the time. Then the next thing was I saw them in 1991 at the San Diego Comic-Con, and they were walking through the hall. Hail Deadwood Dale. I love Deadwood Dale, man. His music, his remixes bring my soul so much joy. The satire is so strong. So strong.
I've had him on as well as a guest. He's a great dude.
Yeah, he's awesome. Excellent.
Yeah, he's cool. You gotta see one of his videos. It's about Ethan can't play piano anymore.
Oh, I gotta see this. I haven't seen that one yet. I saw did it in reverse. I saw Oh Goddamn, and I saw Stay the Fuck Back with the Bee Gees. That one, I put that one on repeat. The Chill Mix is good, and I got to get a sort of recap of who all the people were from Ethan, which was wonderful. So I saw Rob and Marat walking in the convention hall at San Diego in '91, and they gave me sort of an idea. It was sort of a prototype of what Image would be. Originally, it was just going to be Rob, Todd, and Eric. And I was like, yo, that's so cool. And then in November of '91, and this is, I'll just give a sidebar story. I had been told by both DC and Marvel that I was like one step away from breaking in, and I was doing inventory story after inventory story after inventory story. And every time it was like, so good, here's another one. And I'm like, give me a job, you know? And when you're a kid, I was 18. When you're a kid, even 3 months feels like forever. Now I'm like, you know, 3 months is a blink. But when you're a kid, it's like a major, you chalk it up to relativity. You know, when you're 15, 5 years is a 30-year life. But when you're 45, 15 years is a 30-year life, and it's perceived similarly, you know? So I felt like I was getting nowhere, and I'd actually gone down to the recruiter. I was going to go join the Navy. I had taken all their tests, and I was supposed to go in on a Wednesday to basically take the medical test, swear myself in, and be part of the United States Navy. And because I was like, okay, I'm not going to break in. If I'm this close but not breaking in, then maybe Eric Larson was right. Like, you know, that pinch of self-doubt, you know, just a pinch of self-doubt. And Monday, 2 days before I was supposed to swear in, I get a call from Rob saying that they are going to start a studio and that they want to make more books, and would I be interested in drawing one of them? And I said, what? And they said, yeah, the only thing is you're going to have to move to Southern California. And I said, when can I leave? And they said, oh, we're going to be starting up early next year. So I told the Navy I won't show up. They said no harm, no foul, because I didn't sign anything. I went down to Southern California in February. I officially got my job in December of 91, but went down to Extreme in February of 92, and it happened to be the same weekend. Oh, that's my daughter. Hi. I'm live right now. You say hi, that's Vinny. This is Lily Bell.
Hi, Lily.
Yeah, he says hi.
Hi.
Okay. Kids are awesome. But it was the same day. It was the same day that CNN had come down to announce Image. 7 artists from Marvel Comics have left to form their own company. You can YouTube it, but if you watch that video, I'm in it. Like when they're doing sort of B-roll around the studio, I'm like sitting on a beanbag. So I was there. I was there the day they announced Image Comics, and I remember the most surreal moment of that visit down. I kind of had to scout, to find where I was going to stay and all that. The most surreal moment was after that CNN interview. The 7 Image owners, founders, plus Murat and myself all went out to dinner at this Chinese restaurant, and it was one of those round tables, which was quite apropos. It was a round table, and I've got Murat sitting here, and then Rob, I think McFarlane was here next to me, and I remember sitting there, and we're like ordered drinks, and I was sitting there, and I looked around the table, and I'm like, Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri, Valentino, Eric Larson, Willis Portasio, Rob Liefeld. Did I
pinch yourself?
No, I was like, did I die and go? Like, I couldn't believe it, because I was still a fresh fanboy. You know what I mean? I'm still a fanboy, but I was fresh. And like, not only did I break into comics, but I was at the ground floor of the biggest thing in the entire comic book landscape, and I'm wondering, how in the hell am I here? How am I here? And from there, I did some backup stuff, some pinups. The book they initially had me work on was this thing called The Odd, which was this sort of Wizard of Oz through the eyes of Liefeld. So sexy Dorothy, Wolf, Toto, badass, Tin Man, and ferocious Lion. They ended up canning it, and then I ended up sitting on my hands for a while. So I started creating my own work, and I created this character called Dutch Gamble, and I just started drawing this story very much like Predator. They were in the jungle, and like there was betrayal and all this stuff. And Rob had seen it and was like, hey, this is pretty much in line with what I'm doing in Youngblood Zero. Let's put your pages in Youngblood Zero. That'll be your first sequential work. And I was like, dude, that's great. And then from there, I got on Bloodstrike, and that was that. So that's my long, short story.
Mm-hmm. No, dude, that is killer.
Yeah.
I'll get a little bit of here myself.
Yeah.
Do you have up my YouTube up?
Do I have your YouTube up? I don't.
Yeah.
No, I just have StreamYard open. Let me pull it up.
Yeah.
Let's
No. I mean, I don't know why I'm getting that.
Are you getting an echo? What I found, because when I was finding echo on my stream, when I unplug my headphone, plug it back in, and then hit mute, and then unmute, for some reason, stuff goes away.
Oh, well, I don't know. I think I'm all right now. Yeah, no, I was hearing it. It sounded like it was from your end, but whatever. No big deal. Yeah, I was the same way when I started working for Todd. Because the thing was, like, I met him a couple of times, and each time I did, there's something really cool about it. I got to see his prototypes for the original Spawn line before they were ever released, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I forgot it was a convention in Miami. Like, they weren't really doing that many, but like they only have like a handful of like big names, and like he had a line out the door. Yeah. So I remember the first time that I met him. I'm saying,
was it a Gold Line marketing show? Because if I was at a Miami show with Todd, so I like around that time, so that I'm thinking it might have been the same show.
Yeah, I think you're like maybe 6 years older than me, something like that.
I'm old, man. I'm almost 47. So yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of close in age anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was about in high school. Yeah, when I met him, he had like the clown car. If
Yeah.
you remember,
Yeah. It's a cool car.
it could have been the same show
Yeah.
because he didn't come a lot, and I wasn't really doing a bunch of conventions. It was just kind of like out of the blue. I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
Todd's coming! Like there was paper. So yeah, he had the prototypes on his table, and like I don't know, you know when you get like a vibe,
Yeah.
you know, like I know something's gonna happen soon. I know, like I could feel it.
Yeah.
And right after high school, like I took a little bit of time off. I was getting more of my craft down, and I saw in one of the back of the books they were looking for artists for his companies, and I didn't know like what exactly they were looking for. But my brother Frank had the idea. He goes, "Why don't you record some of your stuff? Because people are sending in paper all the time. They're just gonna thumb through it or throw it in the trash or whatever. But if it's like a cassette or a video or something, that's going to stand out." I'm like, you know what? That's a good idea.
That's interesting.
So yeah, so we did, and because there was another brother that I don't mention much, but he was also hired because he had done statues. So we filmed all the artwork, sent it over, and like within a week, got contacted. Like, you want to come up, take a look, or you're in the area? I didn't even know where they were.
Was it Terry or Julia or somebody who called you? I'm trying to think of his office back then. There was Julia and
this was the Jersey location.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the art studio was for the toy division.
Right.
So we had family and we came from New York. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's no problem. So flew up, stay with my cousins, and at the time I was like maybe 19. Yeah, I think about 19. So I had never learned the subways and all that stuff because I was a kid when we left. When I came back, like I didn't know, so we just kind of all in one day just figured out the subways, how to get from Port Authority over to Jersey. Got over there, had an interview, and pretty much stayed.
Yeah.
So it was like that quickly. Like they saw some of the artwork. Yeah, my test pieces were for the McFarlane Monsters, not the little place, but it was actually the 6 to 7 inch figures.
Yeah.
So I sat down and I got to redesign Frankenstein, Sea Creature. I took a crack at Dragon.
Do you remember the feeling? Like,
yeah,
like it's one of those weird things. Like it's one of those things. Like sometimes when I have bad days, like bad days are like ones where I like don't feel like doing shit. I will literally summon that feeling and be like, oh yeah.
Yeah, you need that reminder.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. A lot of people lose the fire, and if you have it, if you're hungry for it, you're going to keep doing amazing stuff. You're going to push yourself even more and keep leveling up. Because I think as an artist and a creator, you should keep leveling up. Never just go, oh, I'm good enough, I'm fine. No, always be learning. Always keep drawing. That's the thing I always stress to everybody. Yeah. But yeah. So while I was there, my first couple of designs, I was like, dude, like this is crazy. They didn't have any special paper or anything. It was either like computer printout or like really long sheets that I didn't even know where they got them from.
Nice.
Discolored. I'm sitting here doing these drawings, and like then he's like, all right, we're gonna at the end of the week we're gonna have a conference with Todd. And I'm like, oh dude, this is cool. And it was like one of the first kind of like webcams that they set up. Yeah. Like they didn't have Skype yet. Right. So seeing them like trying to figure it out, and then when they finally do, I remember the first time. He's sitting on the floor in Arizona in his place, and just in shorts, like just playing with the toys.
Everybody does a good Todd, man. That's so good.
Man. I almost got in trouble once for doing it in the studio. It was hilarious. But but he was cool about it. So so we're seeing all that, and then like he had his assistants walking by, he had his wife there. And he's just like, and he's sitting there with his toys, like playing. I'm like, oh my god, it's you almost felt like he was an idiot savant. You get like almost like that vibe. Yeah. And it's like this is the guy who's drawing, Spider-Man and Spawn and all this, and like one of my heroes. And I'm going, wow, look at this guy. He's a kid. He's a big kid.
He's a kid, man. He's a big kid. A very smart big kid. A very, very smart big kid.
I always give him credit.
Yeah.
Always. And like I
Yeah.
said, he's like on my top 5 influential people.
He's
Hands
probably
down.
he's not my favorite artist. That would
Mhm.
probably go to Michael Golden, but he's certainly my favorite comic book. Like if you take personality and art and all of that, Todd wins hands down for me.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, he has it all, man.
Yeah.
He really does. But yeah, so like seeing all that stuff was really to me amazing. How his mind works, why he likes what he likes, the certain aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like I learned a lot just from paying attention. Like I didn't get like a hands-on.
Hey, go back because that's something I didn't glean from him. Why does he like his aesthetic? What is it? Where's his philosophy at?
Well, for him, he thinks like if things are too symmetrical, they're just boring.
I love that. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I beat that up because I think of things musically, and if you hear dun 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 dun, you go, okay, I'm tired. But if you hear dun 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 dun, all of a sudden that staccato keeps you into it. Yeah,
it's those highs and lows. It's I mean that's what I think. Music and art go hand in hand.
Yes,
you know, all the way because it's that, right. And for creative people, it's something that just clicks. It's there for us.
Yeah.
So like to see that kind of stuff, because I was like, yeah, why the garbage pail boot? Like I never understood it, but you know, as I'm there, like it's making sense. As I'm designing some of these toys, we're having back and forth with like with the sculpting department, and then sitting down and watching when he kind of breaks down a piece, what he likes, what he doesn't like. His thing was like at the time, we pretty much we got the rhythm of what he needed and he wanted. Yeah. But it's still like we were always pushing articulation. So one thing he never wanted to do, because he liked little statues that were in cool poses. He didn't like, you know, too much going around, felt like robots, but not in the fun way that he likes.
Yeah.
But like we slowly started putting more of that in there. Yeah. So like I was responsible for the Dark Age line.
Nice.
Of Spawn.
Yeah, those were nice.
I designed all those figures, including the box one with the horse. And then we had 2 versions because when KB Toy Stores was still around, they wanted 2 different versions, I guess, to go in there, and they were supposed to go in comic shops as well. So like we kind of did a mix of stuff. But yeah, like that was really interesting because we started getting like some of the Japanese import figures. Yeah. And looking at how they were doing certain cuts. It's like Trigun started having really unique joints that weren't done yet in figures. Right. They had this one big dude like with these giant like machine gun things, and the figure was huge, heavy. I think it was like around $60 back then. Like, you know, arm and a leg, but he had a cool diaphragm cut where when you go to turn him, like he crunches over or he crunch all the way back. But it was like one cut. So like we took these figures and we were kind of like this wasn't Todd. No one, we paid out of pocket because we were trying to figure out how they did it, what would work better, and to really kind of, you know, elevate what he was doing, because these barbaric figures, you want them to be really articulated nicely and that kind of thing. So that's what we did. Like they didn't have like standard shoulder joints, like the main Spawn in the line. The one guy who was responsible for that, it was kind of weird. It was like a pin and like a hinge joint and another pin. Yeah. So like he would get his arms all the way up and rotate because I designed him with that gigantic axe.
You want to be able to pose him to be able to.
Yeah. You want a good range of motion on that guy. So like it was really cool because Todd was kind of like he wasn't sure about it, but then when we had the 2-ups there, because that's how they were sculpted. They were like double the size, and then when they go to China, then you know they retool
detail.
Yeah,
detail
so we just pour in a ton of detail. But to see like that we were able to change his mind, he was starting to get it, was really cool. That was a cool feeling.
Well, he's lucky. He's lucky to have you guys there. I mean, that's the beauty, you know. I try to study like old, I call them masters. Like you look at someone like Henry Ford, right? The innovator of the automobile. And he was in court at one point. I forget what he was, you know, in trouble for, but the judge or the lawyer had asked him like, so you mean to tell me you know how blah, 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 blah works? And he goes, I don't need to. I pick up the phone and I call the guy that handles the blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, of course. Like all the great all the great men, whether it's Walt Disney, whether it's Steve Jobs, whether, you know, it's Todd McFarlane, it's the selection of people and the people that are there to help innovate that make the whole thing. So he absolutely lucky to have you guys, because I remember when I started seeing that change in articulation, I remember having a conversation with Todd back in the day where he was talking, "What up, Scotsman?" He's great. Todd was saying, like, you know, each point of articulation costs 13 cents, so you have to be really judicious as far as where you put the points of articulation because of cost reduction and such. But the fact that you guys were there to kind of science it out, or at least, you know, break it down into a algebraic equation of like, yo, we can get crazy movement out of these, you know, these slices. He's lucky for that, because his headspace is in a different place, you know. Of
course, because how he would get those things, like, you know, he wouldn't really. I don't know. It's not the same, because, like, obviously you're a little bit older. Yeah, he's still a kid at heart, but at the same time, to like set the, like, he'll just take him out of the box, set him up. He might move him a little bit, and then the pose stays there, right? And then he's on to do whatever a million other things he's doing. Yeah. But when people are getting them, they want to get him in those crazy poses. They want to figure out, you know, or do something really cool, create a cool scene, because there was a lot of characters. Yeah. You know, they were all unique. The thing was, I think they listened because I saved the property out of the trash for him. Yeah. When I got there, I dug out this video game, Onimusha.
Yeah, the samurai one. I had that game.
Yeah, dude, I was a huge fan of it. Yeah. I didn't think, you know, the following year or so I'd be working for Todd and resurrecting this out of the trash, because they passed on the first game. Whoa. Which to me, I was like, you got to be kidding me. And like, I saw the reference, the folders they sent, you know, huge folders full of information, character designs.
Hey, Vinny, hold on a second. I got to kiss my baby. It's her bedtime.
Yeah, go for it.
Come here, sweet pea. Come here. Oh, my girl. This is my baby. This is Sammy. You say hi? Hey, Sammy. It's your bedtime, huh, Busa? Yeah. She goes to bed this time of night, so it doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I'm streaming, if I'm, you know, on a call with a client or whatever, she gets goodnight kisses. Hey.
You got it.
Hey. Okay. I love you, sweet pea. All right. Night night, mama. Love you, sweet pea. All right. Bye-bye. All right. Sorry about that. Man.
Family first. It's always cool, man.
100%. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you said, wait a second, get this out of the trash, because this is gold. Let's do this.
Literally. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck, man? Because I was dealing. I don't know if you met them, the Frank brothers. It was Ed Frank.
Nah.
They were running the toy division over in Jersey, and they were kind of calling the shots. And I was like, dude, I pulled it out. I went, Onimusha 2? No way. And they were looking at me like I had 3 heads. I'm flipping through them like, dude, this is the video game? Well, I said, when are we making these? And he goes, we're not. I'm like, what do you mean you're not? And I educated him on the game. Yeah. You know, the numbers the first one brought in, because at the time it broke records in sales.
Right.
And then, like, he was choking on his food. He was eating lunch. What how many millions? I'm like, yeah, dude, are you serious? You didn't ask anybody? You didn't do any research? And like, they were kind of, well, Todd said we have our own samurai line that we did. I'm like, okay, so you're going to pass the buck to the boss now? Right. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? And I think it was this one where it was a sequel, and they face from that Ridley Scott movie. Dude, what's the name of it?
What happens in it?
It was like a crime one with with the Asian gangsters. Was it Rising Sun?
Oh, was it the one with
Black Rain? Black Rain.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So the lead actor, he had passed away, and they put his face on the lead character for the sequel. Yeah. You know, this is a huge thing. I'm like, all right, dude, we got to do these. So like, if you want to try something, so I started designing out the poses and stuff, and I knew the poses from the original game, so I'm like, they can't be that much different. Right. So like, I kind of I did a whole bunch of thumbnails. You know, I'm like this would be pretty cool. Looked at the other reference that they sent, but this time the folder was about that thin. So from having like a Bible worth of information. Like, but they said the guy was still a huge fan. The creator, he was a huge fan of Todd's, and he wanted those figures. But you know, he was kind of losing hope.
Right,
So
right.
when I got all these out, like they passed over to my brother. Like, let's if he wants to sculpt them out, you got about a week or whatever. They didn't think he could do it. My brother was very fast with the clay that they had there, and he roughed out.
What were they using? Was it like
Castelline?
Sculpey?
No,
Oh,
Castelline.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was like a mixture, but then they did their own special mixture as well, because usually they would get it molded and cast, but they would do it in a combination that was almost like beeswax mixed with this clay, and you needed a jeweler's tool to work the clay. That's how they put the extra detail in, which is really interesting. And I'm like, how is this working? So it was like,
those are secrets, man. Those are secrets.
It was crazy. It was crazy. But the thing is, things were fragile, because there were some guys who dropped pieces that they slipped out of their hand, and they would shatter like glass on the floor.
Oh,
yeah.
That breaks my heart, man. It's like spilling a bottle of ink on your page once you're finished.
Dude. Yeah. Just as bad. Dude, horrible. But like, because you would hear profanities every time. Like, the department was next to like where everyone would eat lunch, and you would just hear, "Fuck this mom!" Everybody losing their mind. Because some guys get so good with the original clay that you didn't need to cast it and do it in that. You could just put it in resin already.
Right.
But anyway, so my brother was so quick that he got all those pieces done. So when it was like the end of the week and Todd was going to do like his, go over everything and what figures we were working on, like, it was almost like out of nowhere. He was like, "Oh, what do we got here? Samurais?" And then like, Vinny, he found these, and we just wanted to pass them by. I mean, we don't have to do them if you don't want to. And Todd was like, "No, I like them. These look great." Because the poses were badass.
Yeah.
The characters were amazing. I'm like, and I'm sitting going, yes.
And it's tied to a huge franchise.
Exactly. And the coolest thing was I had weapon designs that actually made it into the game. That was their thank you to Todd.
Nice.
Which is actually direct thank you to me.
Yeah. That's excellent, dude.
Dude, it was awesome, because in the end of the game, in the credits, it says like special thank you to Todd McFarlane Productions. And I was like, dude, like it still felt like a victory, even though my name wasn't there. It felt like a victory all the way.
I know what you mean, because I mean, that's the thing. It's those are the things. Like I try to anytime I have a moment where I'm like, yo, I feel amazing, I try to just sit in it for a second and absorb it and be like, like take a snapshot of it. Yeah, man. That's cool.
From what I understand too, I think that whole line made him about $1 million a figure. From what I understand, so. That's why when they're like, "Oh yeah, Vinny's kind of responsible with the other sculptors on these new joints that we're putting into the medieval line there, the Dark Age line," he was like, "Oh yeah," like he gave me an extra, like, "All right, yeah, we'll give it a shot," because I think if it wasn't for me doing that, I don't think he would have been on board. He would have been like, "All right, I'll put those old joints back in."
Right. But trust Vinny, because Vinny's made me money.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. And at the time, like, I didn't know all that. I found it a little bit later. Because actually, like years after I worked for him, I ran into him on the street in New York. It was around New York Comic Con, and literally we just backed into one another, waiting at a light. And he turned around, and without a beat, Vinny, and he never really called us by name. It was just we were just the guy standing there, and we didn't see him all the time either. It's when he came into town, he would only be like around Toy Fair, that kind of stuff, because he hated going out to Jersey. Because that ride to Jersey was a pain in the ass, because they were like up in the sticks. So, so it was really cool. He gave me respect right off the bat.
That's awesome.
And that's the one thing. He could be very, very tough when it comes to the business side of things, but for the fans and in public, he is what I would call the next Stan Lee with how he treats fans.
Oh, 100%. He's very good with fans.
He's amazing with his fans,
because he recognizes just like with CG, the fans are everything. We could create all we want, but if there isn't somebody there to receive it, then there's nothing. It's like drawing pictures in a running stream. Like, you did the exercise of doing it, but it's just gonna go. The fans are there.
Yep.
So he respects that. That's fantastic.
Absolutely. One other cool thing, I mean, we'll get back to you right away. I just keep going on this tangent.
It's all good. It's all good.
The other cool thing was one of my designs that was actually in that line made it on the record-breaking Spawn issue, 301.
Nice.
One of the variant covers that Todd was, he worked on as well, has my character right in the foreground. It was like a bunch of spawns kind of like leading back. I should have pulled it out. But
let me see. I have it. I have Spawn 300. Doesn't it? Or no, it's 300 that I have on this rack. I don't know if I have 301 in here.
It was 301 that was his big achievement, because
for those in the chat that don't know who Todd McFarlane is, and I doubt this is Todd McFarlane right here. Young Todd. Hey, bud. Ah!
Hey, I got a book called Spawn.
I got a book called Spawn. It's a good book. You have 5 people.
I was in the paint department when I was doing his voice. They were all cracking up, and then the door swings open, and one of the heads comes out and goes, Todd's on right now. They can hear you.
Oh,
and I
shit.
I started laughing even harder. They said afterwards, like, they were getting a good chuckle.
Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious, man. That is hilarious.
But yeah, how did you go from comics into the toy world? Because you started working on Mattel.
I didn't work in the toy department of Mattel. In fact, I worked in their content division. What happened in 2002, I was working for Marvel, and I had drawn an issue of Black Panther. I was on my second issue of Black Panther, and this is the only time in my entire life I've ever been fired. Okay. But it was like a soft firing. I was fired off of Black Panther because they needed 5 pages a week, and I kept bringing in 4. And it was because I just couldn't produce the level of detail that they wanted and do 5 pages a week. I could only do 4. So they fired me and then hired me like within the same breath. You're fired off of Panther. Where here's an inventory issue of Weapon X. So I was fired and hired. And then I was hired by DC Comics. It was a bit of a shell game. The editor had told me, if you get this done within 5 weeks, the Superman job is yours. Little did I know they were also in talks with my buddy Mike Turner. And basically, I was their backup plan. Like if the negotiations with Mike fell through, they had me. But they didn't tell me that. And he ended up getting signed on. And then there were crickets, and I was pissed. Like I was really, really upset because I didn't like being a pawn.
You were the side.
I didn't like being a pawn in a game. So I left comics, and I started storyboarding. And I storyboarded a bunch of commercials. A Reebok commercial with Allen Iverson was my first one. Then I started storyboarding movies. I did The Transporter. I did Fantastic Four 2. And then I worked on this movie in 2005 called ATL. And ATL was a story about Atlanta, and it had a character played by T.I., who was an aspiring cartoonist. So they needed me to do double duty. They needed me to not only draw the storyboards for the movie, but anytime T.I. would be drawing something, they needed physical artwork to be on camera. So I taught him kind of how to pretend to draw. So I would draw a picture and then tell him how to add things.
Yeah.
So fast forward to 2009, and I get a call from the same producer that worked on ATL, and he was putting together a pilot for MTV called The Hard Times of R.J. Berger. And that show, they wanted me to do the same job. He's like, hey, we did this thing back in the day. Are you down to do it again? I said, yeah. It's about this kid who also drew, so they needed storyboards for the pilot, and they needed on-camera artwork. But the show, in its premise, for anybody that has never seen it, is about this nerdy kid who has a 14-inch penis. Okay, that's the show. That's the premise of the show, and the school finds out. And there was a part in the pilot that was sort of too crazy for TV. And we were at lunch one day, and one of the producers said, why don't you just do what they did in Kill Bill? And we're like, what do you mean? And they said, well, they softened all the stuff that the sensors had. They softened the blow by animating it. And they all turned to me and said, hey, do you think you can animate this portion of the show? And it was only a minute. Yeah. And I was always taught, always say yes. Yeah, of course. I was like, and they're like, cool, here you have $5,000 and 3 weeks to do a minute of animation. And I was like, yeah, no problem. I boned up as quick as I could. How do you animate? And I learned all the philosophies of animation, like as far as like how it's done. I was also very familiar with After Effects and all that. So I created all the elements in Photoshop, hired an animator to put all of the elements together in After Effects. And we put it together, and it was in the pilot. The pilot got picked up for 12 episodes. And they said, you want to do this again for another 11 episodes? We want you to do all the animation in every episode. Oh, and by the way, every episode has a different style of animation depending on what they're talking about. So for example, the first one, they were talking about this Japanese foreign exchange student. So they wanted the animation to feel very hentai. And then there was another episode about one of the characters having crotch lice, crabs. So they wanted it to feel like The Deadliest Catch meets Popeye, because the name of the episode was The Deadliest Crotch. So we did that one in Popeye style. We did one in Fat Albert style. We did one in like Samurai Jack style. So we did, and over the 2 seasons, we did 25 different styles, right? And it was my job to oversee it. So during that process, and believe me, this will have a point. We'll get to Mattel. During that process, I worked with a company called WildBrain. WildBrain made shows like Yo Gabba Gabba and Monster High had just started over there, and they also did a season of Ricky Gervais. Well, when I was working for them, they the director for the first season of the Ricky Gervais show, I don't know what happened, but they didn't have him back for the second season. And this wonderful lady by the name of Marge Dean had suggested, Dan's really good with comedy, and he can flow in and out of styles. Here he's done 25 different styles with comedy. Why don't we give him a shot? So I interviewed with the executives of the show. They sent me to HBO. I have the craziest story regarding that. Sidebar, my wife and I were trying to have kids, and it wasn't happening. So I had to go to get my junk checked, and I had 3 appointments that day. Yeah. Go to HBO, then go to the clinic to check my junk. Yep. Then go get my picture taken for my license, right? Right? So that was the order of things. So I go
priceless.
Yeah, so I go to the HBO meeting, and I meet with the executives over there, and I'm nervous as shit because I've never been in that high power of a room. I mean, I've been in great powered rooms in comics, but this is like the higher ups at HBO, and I'm like this basically in 2009. I'm still I still consider myself young and a kid, and I'm like, yeah, guys, and they ask me all these questions on my drive to the clinic where I'm supposed to basically crack one off into a cup. I get a call in the parking lot. We'd like to offer you the job of directing season 2 of the Ricky Gervais show. And I was like, oh my God. So I went in there and I beat off.
I got you up.
Yeah. And then I went and I got my license picture taken 30 minutes later, and my face on my license picture was like the best day of my life. Right. So I direct a couple seasons of the Ricky Gervais show for HBO, season 2 and 3. We did 26 episodes. And then after that was done, Marge, my friend Marge, she went over to Mattel, and they were looking for directors to come to guide all of their stuff, their Monster High, Max Steel, Hot Wheels, Polly Pocket, all these different cartoons. They needed somebody to basically shepherd those productions, oversee the productions, and make sure that the integrity was in an alignment with the toy company. We would meet with the toy executives, all the they call them subs. We would meet with all the subs, and get like, oh, hey, we got a brand new line. They're these Monster High dolls. They're incandescent and sort of clear, so they're ghosts. What kind of content can you guys create? So we would go and leave those meetings, ideate sort of like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if there was a ghost high school and they had this thing and they turned into ghosts and had to learn to become ghosts and all that stuff. And then we'd go back to the toy company, pitch the idea. Once they said, we pitched like 4 ideas, they pick one. Right. We'd type up an outline. That would be sent out to prospective writers. We'd hire a writer. Then from there, we would put together sort of a packet and receive bids from other production teams that wanted to create the animation. From there, we would hire those teams. It was my job to meet with the storyboard department to basically guide the visuals of these cartoons, like what's going to happen when. I wasn't very granular or prescriptive. I was more sort of like, this scene is about this character. This sort of arc needs to happen here. Make sure that you like. I had to be toy-atic. Make sure you feature the outfit here, and on this, very mindful of story and product like that. I was sort of the go-between, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I did at Mattel. Is I was called a supervising director, and like I had to oversee multiple projects simultaneously. We were doing webisodes, long form movies. They're still on Netflix. If you guys want to check them out on Netflix, search Monster High or Ever After High, and you can see some of that work. That's
cool, man.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, and it's crazy too. Like you never know, like the previous jobs, what they're gonna snowball into.
Yeah.
Like, I went from doing some storyboard stuff for a movie that, it got like that close to getting off the ground.
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie was about to be signed. Like, it was going to be fucking huge.
Yeah.
With these demons and I can't get too much into it, but
yeah.
But I did the initial storyboards for the preliminaries, and everybody loved it. I was working with the guy who did the effects for Nightcrawler in the X-Men 2 movie.
Very cool.
He told me some crazy stories too.
Brian Singer stories?
Yeah.
Enough said, as Stan would say. Enough said.
But yeah, so it was cool, like how it was coming together.
Yeah.
But like, again, it didn't happen because you know how Hollywood is. There's so many great projects. They come so close, they just don't happen. But in years later, because I was friends with them, they were still trying to get me work with other people, and I started doing some really cool character designs and storyboards for like an animated project that cross my fingers. I think it's gonna happen, and it could be with a very, very big studio. So you never know, kind of like the ins and outs and what's still there, but like all that stuff, like you got to keep, like you said, say yes. You got to build your own stuff as well.
Jump and learn how to fly on the way down.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Flap those arms as fast as you can.
or if you don't, turn your shirt into a parachute. Do something, but jump.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You got to do that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool and crazy, and and you got to get out there and you got to live. A lot of people they don't. They get trapped in a certain mindset. But yeah, you got to open yourself up because again, as a kid, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just jumped into it. I learned shit that saw some crazy stuff, from being in the city in New York and all that traveling, the strangest shit. I seen a guy get hit by a bus, by 3 buses. Yeah, by Port Authority.
Oh my God.
The craziest things, shit. You're like, I would never have imagined this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But all that little bit, it helps you see things in a different way, right?
Yeah.
You really need that. As an artist, you should be able to explore everything you can. And
I collect experiences, like I was saying, like kind of memorizing that feeling. One of the habits that I have, and it's something I recommend to the viewers on my channel, is start a Pinterest page. Because most people think of Pinterest as like, ooh, it's crafts. Like, I'm going to go make my living room look good. Let me look up living room design. Nah, man, if you go on Pinterest and you look up futuristic armor, boom, there's like tons of things. And then they have a feature where if you, let's say you see some cool armor that's got like a cool riveting across the shoulder, You can isolate that riveting, and it says, if you like this, you'll like this. And it shows you 100 other images with things that are like that.
Yeah.
And what I end up doing is like, I'll spend like a half hour to an hour, a couple times a week, almost like being like Johnny Five in Short Circuit, input, where you're just like literally like absorbing as much of it as you can. But like what you're talking about is the same thing when it comes to us being writers. Like I'm talking about like gathering aesthetics, but like, gathering up sort of human nature. Like there's a writer named Brian Azzarello. He wrote 100 Bullets. And I had a very fortunate happenstance of having lunch with him and his wife and a couple other friends. And I asked him, I said, dude, your writing is so spot on. It sounds so natural. I said, what do you do? He says, oh, I just go on a subway or on a bus ride and I just listen. That's it.
Yeah.
And, that's it. I just listen. And I'm like, yo, that is the best advice.
That's what I did too. Traveling all that. I mean, I was doing like 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours back. Well, maybe 4 hours back sometimes because you're getting stuck in the Lincoln Tunnel.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare, right? So I'm listening to these people's conversations. I'm talking to these other people that, you get a little bit of life from everyone. On the subway, I heard the craziest shit. And it was mostly from women.
Yeah.
Mostly from women.
Are you on Instagram at all?
Yeah.
There's an Instagram account called Subway Creatures.
I gotta check that out.
It's gold, bro. It's like the stuff you see on the subway that you would just go, if someone told you about it, you'd be like, nah, but proof.
Oh my God, yeah, dude. I see the crazy shit from celebrities to the odd situation happening. Some I can't repeat. I'll end up getting my own channel flagged.
Yeah, right. You don't need that.
Yeah, but dude, it's people are fucking crazy, but you learn a lot again, and you put that kind of stuff into your writing, into your artwork. It sounds silly at times, but yeah, if you want like a proper or natural kind of conversation, that's going to happen. But when it comes to writing too, though, when you give a character a voice, they have to say something important. You don't just stick it in there for the sake of sticking it in there, or like what Marvel's doing with these coffee shop conversations that mean nothing and go nowhere.
Oh God.
You should have something in place. Because I was fortunate enough to have some nice dinners and lunches with some good writers during the convention scenes as well.
Yeah.
Jonathan Hickman when he was still in his prime.
Oh yeah.
Not what he's doing now.
It happens, but sometimes I just had this conversation on Facebook with somebody where like, sometimes you have to compromise. Like, if somebody's paying you, you have to compromise. They were asking me, they said, why are you CG? And I said, no compromising, like you don't have like the fact that you can do what you want to do and not have some sort of outside influence telling you what to do with it is an amazing thing. But go on. So you had these conversations with these writers.
Well, I mean, they're all different people. I became good friends with Bob Camp. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Hey, wasn't he Ren and Stimpy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great fucking guy. Political views are a little bit different, but at the same time, we hear each other out, right? Yeah. We're able to become friends and stay friends even through, I think, this nonsense. Like, I want to get him on my show as well. Yeah. He's been busy with a lot of stuff though, but so yeah, I mean, stuff like that. It helps artists and in every possible way, creators, and that's what we have to do. And that's the one thing. Like, I'm leading into CG that I want to make it clear. Whoever tries to continuously attack CG, they have not done any research whatsoever. They are just whatever they hear, they're repeating because it's in hopes that the bigger companies are going to give them a spotlight, are going to give them some work.
Right.
I have friends, just a couple of them, not a lot of them, because most of them are smarter than that, who tried to attack from the beginning. Yeah. They were put down, but in a logical way from other friends. Like, how Vinny is. You know that he's not that way. Right. Whatever you think you hear is wrong.
Yeah.
So
I'm going through that right now. This is like, it's like I don't know when you said you're CG, But like, it's like if we were playing Mario Brothers and shit, you're like in World 4, and I'm like literally running through World 1 right now. I'm like, oh shit, there's turtles. Like, you know, and you're like, oh, it's not just mushrooms, bro. You know, it's like, you know, because I'm going through that right now, and you're right. It's like, I feel like the wokies, I call them wokies. I won't call them SJWs, because they're not fighting for justice. They're fighting for control. And that's why they call them wokies, and I have what they have to say I call slag, and because it's just slag. But they try to control the narrative, and they are actively rewriting the wiki page. They're actively, you know, putting articles up that do this, because I've had my own family members. 2 of my 4 brothers reached out to me, bro, are you part of a hate group? And it's like, whoa, dude, no. Oh, I read the wiki page, and I'm like, dude, like click 3 or 4 clicks in, go on some of the shows, find out that CG is not a monolith. It is not this thing that you can label. It's made up of a bunch of passionate comic book fan loving individuals that respect the craft.
That's right. And we're the last guys and girls who respect the craft. We seriously are.
Yeah.
You know, there might be a handful here and there, but again, out of everyone here, because we've had, you know, these people with their boot on our throats for too long, trying to keep us out, or, you know, like, or we've been in there, and then, you know, they find a way to manipulate and you know, or talk shit, or you're not big enough, so they're going to kick you to the side. We'll bring someone else in, and I think it's disgusting. It's the way they've business. It's not like professionals. It's like children in a playground.
Well, they're not professionals. That's the problem with a lot of the comic industry. You know, it's like some of these editors and some of the higher ups, they don't come from dopest hate group I've ever seen.
Rocket's awesome.
Hate is cool now, man. Hate is cool. Haven't you heard, man? Let's go hate.
Dude, it's insane.
Yeah.
Real quick too. No, John K will not be coming on here. John K is not a good person.
No, isn't he in jail or something for being a bad man?
He might be. Bob's the cool guy. He's the one who really, he knows what he's talking about. He's the one who handled all the artists as a person. John was kind of a monster of a boss and just a really, really evil guy. Yeah. And I'm going to leave it there, because of the other stuff that's for the courts to decide. I'll leave it there. But
just leave it there. And let's put it this way: anybody that has kids would want to kill him. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Where were we, man? Where were we?
Shit. Because I was sitting there a bit. I just wanted to.
No problem. No, that's the thing. There, like I said, the other side is trying to control this narrative, and there's a preservation that we have. Like you and I, we come from the 90s. We remember when comics were great. And I know that sounds like, here's the thing, but that's the other thing too. People think that we're politically minded, that we're all alt-right somehow. I have news, man. I am down the center, left leaning. I'm more left leaning. I wouldn't call myself a liberal, but I'm certainly not a conservative, right? But I think about when I say back when comics were great, I remember a time, like the time I bought these comics. Oh, and here's that Dark Knight that I was talking about, the greatest Batman cover of all time. Look at that thing. When comics were the most amazing for me, I remember when I could go to the comic book store, buy a John Byrne comic, a Walt Simonson comic, a Dale Keown comic, a Liefeld comic, a Jim Lee comic, a Mark Silvestri comic, a McFarlane comic, an Eric Larson comic, all at the same time, because they were all in the stands and they were all badass, and they didn't have to go, oh, well, how does that work? Or, like you were saying, the coffee shop talk stuff. Yep. That is an attempt at doing a Quentin Tarantino Scott Pilgrim mashup. It's that. Yep. Hey, let's fill this air with like clever shit, but it's so like Scott Pilgrim wannabe type stuff that it's garbage, and that doesn't respect the reader.
Well, it's like I said, it's the house of stolen ideas.
Yes.
What happens with stolen ideas? They're watered down. They're garbage.
Right.
They're
And
not
that's,
true to what
yeah,
they're
that,
supposed to be
the
anyway. Why?
thing,
Because they're stolen.
the thing that I had said in regard to like what they do to certain characters is like, I'm all for creation, but I'm not for appropriation. Like if you want
Yep.
to create any character, I don't care what race, creed, color, sexual orientation, I don't care if you want to do that. But if you take a character and the defense that I hear on this thing is, well, they've changed characters over the years, but they don't make such dramatic changes to them, you know? So yeah, just going back though, I like to create comics that I enjoy to create. And I've worked in Hollywood, I've worked in comics, and the thing that I like about comics is that they're inherently comics, right? We don't have the advent of sound or motion, but we get to use all of the conventions that make a comic book, and those are the things I like to amplify. If somebody's shooting a machine gun, dude, you bet I'm going to put 1,000 bullets coming out of it. If that girl has armor that transforms, you know it's going to pop off and reveal her sexy body for a minute because that's awesome. I make the stuff I as a fan want to see, and therefore I believe, because I feel like I said, I go into that feeling and I remember that kid in the comic shop. What did I want to see? And I believe that that is my fan. That comics is like pepper juice in my pee-pee hole. I can only imagine, man. I don't even like. I've got lemon juice in my eye, and I know that the third eye down there, man, Spartan. That conjures pain, bro.
I believe that was a Methuen reference.
Is it? Why does he say that? Or in
He
my
said
pee hole. Something about my pee hole.
Screams.
Screams and scares.
It's so much craziness, but
Yeah.
dude, I've said it on your stream a couple of times too. That's what I'm about. I'm about telling good stories,
Yes.
having awesome action sequences, giving people that escapism, that entertainment. I think people are tired of these boring, generic-looking. I don't know what they're doing anymore, man. In the mainstream, we're bringing back action. We're bringing back sexy, violence, but again, it
Fun.
pertains to the story. Fun.
It's just supposed to be entertaining fun. I don't want a lesson. And if there's going to be a lesson, I want it wrapped in a fun package, not one that talks down to you like a kindergartner, you know?
Exactly, man. It's crazy what they've done. But yeah, CG is where it's at. Like Charlie's London was saying, she was down, she wasn't feeling well, and we all chipped in. We all made her feel good.
Right.
You know, inviting them on streams, some of the other names we're doing, pushing each other on Twitter, messages of encouragement, because that's what it is. This is becoming like a cool, tight little family,
It's a network. That same guy, this guy who I don't want to use the word interrogate, but this guy like basically interrogated me about like, why CG? Why didn't you start your own thing if you believe these things? And I'm like, dude, CG meets all the criteria, and one of the strongest things, and it's one that I stand by, and I had a heart-to-heart with my wife about this, because some of the people that turned their backs on us were, family friends and like professionals, but family friends. I said to this guy, I said, the Comicsgate Network is so filled with love and loyalty that we happily share each other's work with enthusiasm. And whenever we go on another channel, we talk about them. Like I've met guys like Phil over at Zaid Comics. I love what he does. I've met you, and I try to talk about you. And Art Taber's an old friend, and anytime he has a campaign, I try to talk about it. And what I realized about a lot of these people that were like judging is, back when I did my own book last summer through IDW. I sent them links. I did all this stuff. Nobody shared anything, and it's like, they don't care. Yeah, they don't care. And I think that CG, because we believe in it and we believe in each other, that we're there for each other. And that, like, to me, that's what it's all about. I'm an old schooler. It feels weird to say it, because when I got hired, I was 6 months out of high school and I was the kid, but I've seen enough of this comic industry, you know, I'm almost 30 years in. I've seen it go from selling millions of copies to having the bubble burst to watching it ramp up again to watch movies take over. And Comicsgate is the first time that I felt like I did when I was at Image. And the brand new, bright, shiny, the future is what we decided days.
It seriously is, man. I was so pumped and juiced. I got out, again, 7 different books. And, you know, I'm coming on a year now that I've been with CG, like officially,
Awesome.
you know, with my campaigns and all that.
Yeah.
Like I've been watching and following for longer than that. But yeah, dude, all those books fulfilled everything. Started building up a name out of nowhere like that. Because again, yeah, I did some stuff for the mainstream and things like that, but I was one of the guys behind the scenes. Like my name wasn't out there. People didn't really know who I was.
Right.
And it's like slowly through these streams, like getting comfortable talking to people about this stuff and, you know, really seeing what it's about. And what it is being genuine. If you're not genuine, people are going to see that. You know, people don't want fake nonsense. I know some guys love drama. I don't think that it's necessarily works. If you want to educate people on who some scumbags are, that's fine. And the fans decide, because that's where I'm coming from. Like I'll talk about people who screwed me over, who I know are damaging the industry, no problem. But I'm not to pick fights with these individuals, and I don't want a back and forth.
Right.
Because they have nothing to offer us.
No.
They destroyed everything, so I'm not going to give them the time of day.
Right.
It's just to let people know who they are. And you know, I've educated a lot of people on some of the dealings about how they are and how shit gets operated. But at the same time, we're focusing on these new projects. We're focusing on these really cool new properties, IPs that are getting off the ground. There is just a wealth of talent, and I want to spend at least the last half hour talking about these projects.
Yeah, let's do it. I just want to say, like, in regard to what you're saying, you know, I feel like every one of us has a different flavor of show. Like if CG was a network, right, and you go over to watch Uncle E's stream, and it's got almost like a Howard Stern vibe, because it's funny, but it's also poignant. Like it's satirical, but it like if you actually listen, you're like, oh my gosh, there's all these points to be made. I just want to tell people my show is a combination between philosophy and Bob Ross. Like I want to help people access the tools that they need to create in the best way they can. And that's like my way of giving back. Obviously, I want to show you my creations and have you guys all in on my creations. But my way of giving back is to say, hey, this is how I do it. These are the pitfalls I've faced on the way. Maybe I could be like Lewis and Clark and say, you know, blaze a trail, go this way. The bears are over there. You know, the Indians are over there. If you go this way and down through the hill, there's water there. You know,
and I love it because that's what it is. It's a flavor of all different people. I've been on EBS show a bunch of times as well, and I've had discussions, a little debates like with John and E, and you know they see my view as well. So again, it's a respect thing. You have to be able to communicate back and forth. And like I said, for whatever people see, like you know, with the drawing competitions and the fun little trash talk people have here and there, what happens at the end of the day? We all have each other's back. You know, John said nice things about me. I've had him on my show as well. You know, we push each other. We know where it's at. CG is where it's fucking at. There's so many great creators, and we're going to keep elevating and doing amazing things. So, yeah, we need to get that out so everybody knows. And anyone who says we're a hate group could go fuck themselves. We're family here. We're an awesome community.
That's right.
And like I said, other people in chat are starting to become creators as well. We're all picking each other up and holding each other there, and we're gonna just keep elevating, you know.
Yeah. So man, that's awesome. I'm looking at the number. The last time I saw, we were at like 6'4" or something, and now we're at 6'8". Man, that's
beautiful, man.
Terrific. Are you able to have sound at all?
Yeah. Actually, you're almost at you're probably a sail away from
25. Wow. Yeah. Can play the video if the guys haven't seen the video. I made this video in my basement with my phone.
Yeah, man. We'll do that.
Hopefully it loads up. I'll hit mute on mine, so it'll be.
Sound is coming in, right?
Yo, what's up? It's Dan Fraga, aka Fraga Boom, and I am so excited to tell you about my very first collaboration with Dynamite Comics and Indiegogo, bringing you 2 variant covers for Red Sonja, Age of Chaos. Why Red Sonja? Red Sonja debuted in Conan the Barbarian number 23 in 1973. Anybody that knows me knows that 23 is my favorite number. 1973 was the year I was born. And who doesn't love a redhead? Evil Ernie debuted in December of 1991, which also happens to be the same month and year that I broke into comics. I drew such comics as Bloodstrike, Kid Supreme, Wolverine, Spider-Man, Superman, and the one that's my most favorite is my creator-owned creation, Black Flag. Black Flag hasn't been on a cover in 25 years, and this is the very first time to see them on a cover in their full glory. You can get these covers in 3 different flavors. You can get one in color with a logo, one without the logo, and one that is pure line art. And you can get all 3 in a special package where I autograph them. Let's just call that the Fraga Boom Ultimate. I want to thank you so much for your support and let you know that your support will allow for me to do more Dynamite Comics covers. And also, in the wake of this coronavirus craziness, your support is helping the comic industry and helping comic creators thrive so we can continue to bring you the magic. I want to say thank you so much. Kick butt, Fraga Boom.
Hell yeah, brother. Dude, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible what we can do with our phones these days, man. It's like that was a phone, green screen. I wrote the music using a Mac and Logic. I programmed it out on a drum machine.
Nice, dude,
but
yeah, you are one talented Emma.
I mean, that's the thing, man. There's so much shit inside my head that I just, getting it out. But this was a lot of fun for me. It was drawing these characters. It feels, for lack of a better phrase, magical. And when Dynamite reached out to me to say, hey, we're really excited about you bringing Black Flag back. What do you think about debuting them on this cover? I said, what a fantastic opportunity. And I went crazy on it. And I got my buddy Matt Yackey to color it up. And here it is,
You did a great job, too, man. Yeah. Dude, I was watching you draw some of these on streams. So, dude. Killer.
Thank
Killer
you.
Stuff.
Thank you very much.
Anyone in chat who's watching, if you haven't back, jump on it now.
Please, please do. And I can't say what's going to happen, but I know next week they're going to be adding to the campaign as well. So get in there while you can, and then be ready for any sort of notifications about some new things.
That's great, man. Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. It's going to be.
Thank you for showing this, man. I had a lot of fun doing it. Let's see yours. I want to see your campaign.
My pleasure. Yeah, I got a bunch of them. So I'm just going to – I'll go real quick too. The Art of Vinnie. This one is closing. I was supposed to close it on the 31st. I'm waiting for them to give me the payout on it. As soon as they do, this one's going down, just because I need to start fulfilling Through the Woods. Probably I'm going to say maybe the middle towards the end of this month. Because it's at the printers right now. In fact, before I started the stream, I gave them the final okay. So we are printing out for Through the Woods. So I know that's going to be a lot to handle. So I'm taking down this one because obviously it was one of my first campaigns. But I might toss this one back up on my other campaign in City of Venus. So I might be doing that. But in case I don't. For whatever reason, it might be a while before I do it.
Man, this stuff is beautiful.
Thanks, brother. I've been a huge fan of just so many different things, and that's what I love about it. That's what my company, Mela Art World. I picked that name because it's a world of different creations. It's different genres all over the place. Between myself and my brother, we both have different concepts and stories, and we want to explore a lot of them. So we put a lot of everything into this stuff. Excellent. So, so, I mean, this one is 52 pages.
52, man, that's awesome. That's like a one for each week of the year.
Yeah, man. Actually, I got a copy right here. I'll blow it up real quick. But yeah, so, I mean, there is just a ton of different and cool stuff. you might really enjoy.
Gorgeous.
But yeah, we got some Resident Evil love in there. We got some other
nice Tomb Raider,
cool
man.
Thanks, brother. So I put a lot of everything.
Hey, can I see the back? I'm sorry to interrupt. I want to see that girl in the car.
Bam.
Yeah, buddy. Look at that.
Yeah, it's kind of my nod to Elfgren as well. I love pinups and you know, hot chicks, 50s.
Excellent,
logo,
man.
all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, we have just a ton of different things going on. But yeah, this one is closing out like any day now. So if you do want to jump on it, jump on that. City of Venus. This is the one that I'm like one of my most proud works, because this one,
that's my favorite. I love that cover, man.
Thank you, man. This one, I wrote this story before I started working for McFarlane.
Wow.
That's how far back this one goes. And it evolved into something different from when it was in the beginning. But for the most part, the main concept is still there. You know, this is a post-apocalyptic kind of world, but it's set so far into the future where I get to play with as many different things as I want to in story elements. So like the whole world is destroyed except for that floating city in the sky. And those people, they control, right? They wanted to separate themselves. And I'm actually going to be showing how that happened. Most times when you see these stories in animation or other places, they never say how or why. It's just there because it looks cool.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to explain all that stuff, and you're going to see kind of what happened. But it's that whole thing of the concept I had is when I first heard about like those hidden figures calling the shots, right? That they meet up, almost like conspiracy theory type things, but that they're ruling the world. What happens in the year is, you know, dictated by these people. So I went, what if I take it to the extreme? What if I go all the way with it? What would happen? Well, they would destroy the world.
Right.
That's pretty much what they did. So like enter my character, who kind of, she's not necessarily from the same kind of area. So yeah, she has her own kind of issues, and she's I'm throwing the viewer in. Yeah.
Love it.
This is why they call me the Boner King. I elevate everyone's memories.
Hilarious, bro. Hail Zaid. I want to say what up to Zaid. I see him over there in the chat. What up, Zaid?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
They are awesome. But yeah, so that's the thing is I wanted the viewer to be taken on this ride with the main character. Like, they don't really know what's going on, neither does she. I give like a little breakdown of what happened to the world, so they're not completely in the dark. And then we're going to kind of slowly reveal what happened and what's going on. You know, those people in the floating city, they experimented on their own people. You know, because their whole thing is they want to prolong their lives.
Oh, so it's sort of altruistic, but not really.
Right. And you're going to see, like, throughout the course of the series, the cracks in the surface there as well. Like, everything isn't as beautiful and perfect as you might think. But, you know, and this is very bleak. There's no major society. The people who are alive, they're pretty much like scavengers, and there's like maybe tens of them. I really put it to the extreme, you know, and, you know, my character is kind of, you'll see how she kind of comes into play and what her connection is to that floating city. But yeah, man, and I went all out on these, you know, straight from the writing process all the way through to the lettering. Everything it was done, you know, by me. That's why I'm really proud of this. And
you should be. You should be. It's gorgeous.
Thank you, brother. And yeah, the sequel will happen. I'm going to start working on the sequel later in the year. I have a pirate story I'm working on first. It's about halfway done. So I'm getting back to that while I'll be like doing the fulfillment process on Through the Woods.
Wonderful.
So yeah, and on this campaign, I do have the exclusive for the volume 2 of my art book. And this was done with the current printer I have. So yeah, this first one wasn't, but the quality is still really amazing. These two were done with my current printer. So the work on this is again top notch.
Yeah.
I'll show you real quick. I mean, well, one of my favorite pieces. And with the Pennywise. This thing is maybe the most pirated piece all over the internet, and it's driving me insane.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of these...
You should have watermarked it, dude.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
I did. I think some Russian place they went in there and they fucked around with it.
Man.
Yeah, you know how they are. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, killing a sentinel. That's dope.
Yeah.
Nice Colossus, bro.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I always judge a motherfucker on like, let me see your Colossus. You know, that's dope.
Dude,
That's like when you go to a Chinese food place. If they can't make the chow mein right, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh man, tell me about it.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Yeah. We got
Look
a
at
lot
that
of
Supergirl. Wow.
And that Supergirl was ripped off by Terry Dodson.
I'm sure.
Yeah, just about like a year and a half ago or something on one of those horrible DC covers.
Yeah.
I think they turned Lois Lane into like a superwoman.
Okay.
And I called him out on it, put it all over the internet, and he just fucking disappeared and shut the fuck up.
Good.
But
Good.
Again, that's how the mainstream is. They're a bunch of crooks. But while this is up too, I do have a test copy of the ash can that's going to be for my early backers on Through the Woods.
That's the Kelsey cover, right?
Yeah, the Kelsey Shannon cover.
Nice.
You know, so yeah, people want it, so that's what happened. So yeah, this one has a lot of different little sketches and things. I also put in the guys from the art competition.
Very cool.
There. So yeah, you got other amazing comic skaters, including Sim, who's in the audience, Joe Ball, Canales, Passion for Drawing, and I have the runner-up too. He's got a full page. Bam.
Dope.
Pat, Doodle Bags.
Nice. Doodle Bags. I love that name.
Yeah, he's great. He's working with I think he's doing Vestige 2 right now, and I have like a first look at my original concept for the main characters on Through the Woods.
Excellent.
So including like a speed painting that I did just to get like mood and atmosphere down.
Dude, your colors, I swear, I used the word the other day, luminescent, but like seriously, it feels like there's a light behind it coming out of the page.
Thanks, man. Dude, so I really appreciate that. And yeah, I also got my bookmarks as well. So beautiful. These are all in. These two are going to be printed. Yeah, the main one's getting printed right now. Tomorrow I'm going to contact them about the ash can just to put my number in. And yeah, so fulfillment is going to happen very, very soon. But yeah, going back for a second, the second art book, that was the exclusive for City of Venus campaign. So if you want that, jump on that one as well. But yeah, Through the Woods is the main one. Oh, I don't know if you ever saw the Kelsey Shannon video.
No, let's check it out. Let's check it out. Oh, booty.
We always play it more than once, just so you know.
Good.
Back Through the Woods today on Indiegogo.
Who now? Okay, is that where did that girl come from?
I think that was it Cabin in the Woods?
Oh, was it? I'm like,
yeah.
Man, if Kelsey did that, I'm like, yo, where did she? At first, I'm like, is that CGI, man? Damn. All right, one more time.
He kidnapped her at gunpoint, told her to dance.
Right, one more time.
Today on Indiegogo.
I think it was too hilarious. That's why I told him I'm putting it on the campaign.
You have to.
My God. But I have two other videos as well. Red Gaze did the main one. That one's a little bit longer, but the shorter one is the one from Ted Zagaro.
Yeah.
He's in the chat too, I believe. This was badass.
Wow. That's excellent work, Ted. Some really good mask work and motion work, man. Fantastic.
So good. I'm actually thinking about, because like I said, this was a special gift for my early backers. So we're cut off on March 20th. All those people will be getting this for free.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about doing a separate tier for the people who still want it, though, who, if they came in a little bit later. Chat, if you're willing to buy this after the fact, Again, if you're not in on the main campaign, put a 1 in the chat just so I kind of know. I'm trying to feel it out because again, I'm putting the numbers in, so they're going to be limited as well. But I want to make sure everyone gets a chance to get a copy at least because I'm really proud of the work that went into that. And you know, again, I know right now things are a little bit tight for people, but and maybe they just missed out because of the cutoff. So in case, yeah, I'm willing to put that up for you guys. So just putting it out there. But yeah, I mean, I think everyone else they've seen this campaign and all that. So yeah, I want to thank everybody again for all the love that you're giving to all of us. Also, check out Sunsworn by my friend Red Gaze. This is the first novel that's going to be put into Comicsgate, and he's so close from hitting his goal. Let's refresh that a little bit.
Love that logo. Shit.
Oh yeah, dude, it's beautiful.
That's
I believe it was
great.
him. It was Red and Ryan Magus who did that.
Yeah.
This was the cover image I did for this campaign.
Yeah, you said it's like a Star Wars sort of vibe, right? But cooler.
Yeah, but cooler. Yes.
Like before it got fucked up. Before Star Wars was broken.
Yeah. Before it was broken, for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, and my sister over here. Well, she's not my real sister, but I call her my sister. Carla Tornielli. She did the cover to the visual companion.
Great.
So not only are you going to be getting an actual like over a 300-page novel, you're going to be getting a cool visual companion with this. So as his stretch goals go up, you know, we're going to unlock other cooler stuff on this. Narwhal did some artwork on here.
Wow, Narwhal's got skills. I've never seen Narwhal's stuff. I've heard about him, but man,
yeah,
Narwhal's got skills.
It's great stuff.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. He was supposed to be in my sketchbook as well, but he never did. He never did the correction piece he was supposed to do.
Yeah, people get busy.
Yeah, but it's all right. Yeah, so we got a lot of great stuff happening here. And yeah, his stretch goals are gonna be really great. So we can get his numbers up a lot. He's willing to do the audio version if he hits 15K. So let's try to get him there because Red's got a really great voice as well, and you're gonna want to hear him read his story. We'll probably do it in chapters, I believe. But so yeah, check this one out. There's a lot of great stuff here. But yeah, so make sure back all these great books. Dan's book Black Flag is going to be coming out on the 25th.
Yeah, stay tuned, and I'm going to be setting up the pre-launch email group. And when you sign up for the pre-launch email group and you're an early backer, you will get a PDF of all of the previous Black Flag issues. That's right. You will get issues 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 as a PDF download if you sign up for the mailing list and back the project.
That is amazing, dude. That's killer. So, yeah, and even on that, do it. I know I'm going to be signing up as soon as I see it.
Thank you, man.
Oh, hell yeah, brother. So yeah, let's give a lot of love to all our creators out there. Grim Reaper 2 is still going on as well. I believe Sim's project is. I don't know if he closed it yet or he's about to, but take a look at that one. And Peregrine is supposed to be launching tonight.
Awesome.
That's graded 0.5 guys. So yeah, take a look at that. Xenotype by my buddy Liam. Scotsman was doing the colors on that. Dude, lots of love for them. You know, that is an amazing manga book. Yeah. So I said we got a lot of great stuff coming out.
Heck yeah.
And in the works. So I want to thank Dan. I want to thank everyone in the chat. I know he's got to go now.
I do. But Vinny, thank you. You've been an amazing host, bro. Awesome stories. You've inspired me. You've also given me a lot of food for thought regarding other stuff. I'm very grateful to you in more ways than one, sir. Thank you very much.
I'm thankful too, buddy. We didn't even get to Bruce Lee. We'll do that later.
We'll have our Bruce Lee talk, man. I love me some Bruce Lee all day, every day.
I'll invite my buddy back too, Grandmaster Bram Frank. This guy is a legend in the martial arts world.
Yeah, if he's a Grandmaster, then he is. Yes.
Oh, yeah, man. You got to check out my interview with him. That's also check out in my videos. We did like I think 2.5 hours or something. Amazing guy. The coolest stories. You're going to hear his connection too with all the old timers. from fucking Stan Lee and Jack to Frank Frazetta. As a kid, he got to sit down on the floor and watch them work. I mean, just amazing stuff.
That's awesome.
But yeah, dude, it'll be a lot of fun.
Excellent.
But yeah, I don't want to keep it too long.
No problem.
So thank you, everyone. Remember, kick ass while you create and be kind to one another. Peace out.
Take it easy.